Hello loves, thank you so much for tuning in today. My name is Paige, otherwise known as Plant-Based Paige, and I'm so excited because today we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of solo travel. So I am living here in Spain, as you all know by now, I'm sure, and I did come here somewhat alone. Excuse me. I remember before I came, my grandma was always saying she had hoped that I would meet some nice guy and I'll be able to come here with him so she could feel safer about it. But that wasn't what I wanted. I wanted to come here and experience life on my own terms and to get to know more of the world and get to know myself better and figure out my place here. So I think that it's been a really amazing experience. I got really lucky because when I first came here, I immediately met a girl right after we had got off of our flight. We were in baggage claim and she's like, oh, are you an auxiliar as well? So lucky because we ended up exploring Madrid together that day. We dropped off all of our bags in the hotel, and the next day we met a ton of other auxiliars who were in our program too. So I think that there are a couple different types of solo travel that you can do, and coming to live abroad for an extended period of time and having a program I think is one type of solo travel, because yes, like we did all come here alone and we did all choose it on our own, but then again we immediately like had this community of people, so I don't think I felt like I was alone immediately. And like finding roommates wasn't so hard and that kind of thing. But there's also another type of solo travel where you can go somewhere and not have any plans and just be entirely on your own. And I've done a few day trips from Madrid since I've been here, but I've really been wanting to see the south of Spain. Like my whole life I've wanted to go to the south of Spain. It just sounds so idyllic and so incredible. I'm all about the sunshine, being near the ocean, and all of that good stuff. And let me tell you, Andalusia does not disappoint. That's the general region. Oops. Yeah. Oh no, technical difficulties. We're gonna include this in the video because sometimes life happens and can't always be picture perfect. Okay, anyway. Gosh, what was I saying? Oh yeah, Andalusia is the general region of the south of Spain, and there are many, I believe they're called provinces in it as well, and I think there are like 6 or so. So I recently went on a trip. I went to 2 provinces. I stayed in one called Malaga, which is right on the southern coast. And then I did a day trip to Granada as well, which is just right by that one. And it was so incredible. So I'm going to talk a bit about the pros and cons. And yeah, so since I've done the day trips, I think that that's one level of solo travel. I think that spending at least a few days somewhere on your own, you're really going to learn a lot as well. So number 1 on my list of pros and cons is a pro that you get to go wherever you want. So the reason that I ended up going was because we had this thing called a bank holiday, which is a national holiday all throughout Spain that they have in December. And as auxiliars, we get either Mondays or Fridays off every week. So we always have a 3-day weekend. But this time we had both Monday and Friday off. So I had to take advantage of that time. So I left on Thursday evening and returned on Monday night. So I really got the absolute fullest I could out of this trip. And before, I had been planning with my roommates on going to Sevilla, which is also in the south of Spain, and we'll definitely do that in the future, but it didn't work out this time because one of my roommates had gotten sick and the other one had made other plans as well. So there I was thinking, okay, like I was hoping to be able to go, and it's 2 days out and now I have no plans. Am I gonna stay here for the Puente, for the bank holiday? or do I want to go somewhere? And I felt this strong calling saying like, you should go, like just go. So I bought my tickets literally the night before on Wednesday night and no regrets, not a single one. So you get to go exactly where you want to go. Because before we weren't planning on going to Malaga or Granada, but I had been wanting to see both of those places, and so it was super easy for me to plan that and pick the place where I wanted to stay. I stayed in a lovely Airbnb with a super sweet host, this lady named Paca from Malaga, and she was 71 and just the kindest lady in the entire world. She would make me coffee every morning and breakfast and have a good conversation, recommend all the great places to go. So it was a really precious experience. So getting to go wherever you want, I think, is huge, not only in picking your destinations, but also once you're there, you get to do the things that you want to do as well. If I just wanted to walk along the beach all day and eat paella and like have some wine, I could do that. There's nobody telling me like, no, we have to make it to each of these destinations today. And so that's something that I find really freeing. But on the flip side of that, one of the cons that I found is that I have a lot of fun during the daytime, and then in the evening I went to go get dinner in the city center, and of course it's this bank holiday, so everybody's out, and I go and they're like, eres solo, like you're alone, and I'm like, well, yes I am. Here I am, I'm ready for dinner. And I immediately found myself wishing that I had someone to share the experience with, having someone to talk to at dinner time. You know, it just would have been nice. It wasn't the end of the world, I wasn't in tears or anything like that, but it was something that I observed in that moment as well. So I think the biggest con about traveling solo is that you wish you had someone to experience it with. But yeah, being able to go and do whatever you want, I think, is really huge. And the truth is, guys, not everyone is going to have the same schedule as you, especially as we start to get a little bit older. Everybody's really busy and they have their own priorities and their own life going on. So you're not going to be able to go to all the places that you want to go if you're stuck waiting on someone else to give you permission or to say like, yeah, I'll go with you. And while it is really awesome to share that experience with others, I think that if there are a lot of places that you want to see, just make it happen, like regardless of whether someone says that they can go with you or not, because I think that being able to see those places was honestly life-changing for me, and doing that solo trip as well. So I think that another reason that it was so profound is that you're spending a lot of time with yourself, and so you kind of learn about yourself and you just have time to observe your mind and observe your way of being in a new place. Yeah, I think that being somewhere totally different that you've never been and you're just doing it all on your own, you really like kind of find out like how you're operating, and it's quite interesting to see. Like I noticed a big difference the day that I like rushed out of the Airbnb and just felt like I wanted to do a bunch of things, which is why I was excited. It was a great time all around, but big difference from when I started the day by doing yoga and getting myself grounded and centered first and then going out. I found myself quite a bit more at ease rather than like go energy. So that was kind of cool to observe within myself. Not that I don't notice those things at home, because I definitely notice a difference every time I do or don't do yoga. But when you're in a new place, I think it especially just kind of like magnifies those sorts of things. So another pro is that you are going to meet so many cool people. When you are in a new place by yourself, people will notice you and they'll come up and talk to you. And if you are an outgoing person like me, it's pretty easy to talk to other people as well, especially other solo travelers, people who will just like pique your interest. I remember during my day trip in Malaga, I was walking around and this cute boy stopped me and ended up showing me all around Malaga, all the best like viewpoints. He then bought me a little magnet, and it was just so precious, and I'll always remember that and just like be grateful for the time that I had. Another thing, doing whatever you want. I booked a trip at the very last second to the Alhambra, which is one of the coolest sites in all of Spain, in my opinion. It is this historic castle sort of place. and it has Moorish architecture and it has Catholic architecture as well. And I believe it was built around the 800s or 900s. It's had some more renovations since then, obviously, but absolutely incredible. Anyway, I booked it as soon as I got to Malaga, and most people book it days in advance. It was much more expensive to do it right at that moment. Had I been with someone else and they didn't want to spend that money, I may not have gotten to see it, and that was such an incredible part of my trip, so I'm really grateful that I was able to do that. So yeah, being able to meet all kinds of cool people. I also met up with some people that were in my program, and had I gone with friends, neither of those things may have happened. So I'm really grateful for that. I think that being alone just opens you up to new opportunities too. So another one that is kind of a pro and a con to me is that if anything crazy happens, it's all on you. Like, you're the only one who's going to be responsible. So if you have a stressful situation, you're gonna have to handle it. And I think that that is a con in that, like, yes, it is stressful, like, it's not easy to deal with, but it's also pro because it helps you to see your own strength and to know that, like, you can get through things on your own and see that you're independent and that you know how to handle yourself no matter where you go, and you don't need someone else to do all of the hard things for you. I think that that's a super, super important life skill. So to be able to have that is huge. Luckily, nothing crazy happened to me. I would say maybe the scariest things are like almost missing my buses every time I would leave the city. Going to the wrong bus stop because there were two in Malaga, but you know, those were pretty minor because they're pretty close to one another as well. So everything worked out luckily, but I think that that is just one of those kind of pros and cons that come along with it. And another con is that it can be a little bit more expensive as well. If I would have been able to share the room that I was in, I would have paid half of what I paid. So that's one thing that definitely does stand out, but overall, I would say that it is totally worth the experience to travel alone. I think that it is absolutely incredible to be able to travel with your friends and your loved ones as well, and to be able to share that experience with them and look back on it and think like, oh, remember when we were in this place, like doing all these cool things. But it's also so cool to say like, yeah, I went there by myself and I did this and this, and I had this enlightening experience, or I did this crazy thing all on my own, and it's something that you can hold for yourself. So I think that they're both something that everyone should experience. And that's pretty much it. That's my list of pros and cons for solo travel. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any comments or questions, leave them in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this, feel free to like and subscribe for future content. And if there's anyone who you know, maybe your traveling buddy or somebody who isn't so sure about solo travel, or somebody who's done a lot of it themselves, maybe share this video with them too and see what they have to say about it. If they have anything to add, I'm all ears. I'd love to hear about it. Love to hear your experiences, guys. Okay, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. I love you. Bye.